This is one of the most requested stories here at the channel, and today we're gonna finally go over the Marvel Civil War. Now keep in mind that this story is massive, and we're only gonna be covering the core 7 issues of the plotline. If you wanna go much deeper and have a much more in-depth look at this storyline, please go visit our friend over at Comics Explained, as he dives so much deeper into the whole thing. Things begin not with Iron Man and Captain America, but with the New Warriors and the reality TV show. You see, the New Warriors are the first superhero team to bring a reality TV show crew with them as they catch the baddies and make the world safe for civilians. They crack the jokes and they make for some good television. But this isn't a game, and these kids don't seem to realize that as Namorita tackles Nitro into a school bus as the children in the playground look on. But Nitro looks at Namorita. "You guys aren't used to real villains, and you're playing with the big boys now." And then he explodes right next to the school, killing close to 900 people, all the children in the school included. Every superhero in the area came to aid the relief efforts, and the tragedy struck the entire nation. This is all the costume vigilantes' fault. They think they can just run around and do whatever they want because they're in costumes. After attending the mass funeral for all of those lost, a woman spits in Tony Stark's face, calling him a filthy piece of crap. And when he tried to deny being involved with the New Warriors activity, she just yelled at him for financing the Avengers and telling kids for years that they can live outside of the law as long as they're wearing tights. As she's carried away, she yells at him for funding this sickness with his billions. Meanwhile, Johnny Storm, also known as the Human Torch, is trying to enjoy a night out when a bunch of angry civilians corner him in a back alley, calling him a baby killer. He tries to defend himself by telling them that he has nothing to do with the New Warriors. But then he takes a bottle to the head, knocking him out cold. The mob then begins to beat on him until he needs to be hospitalized. Due to angry mobs, angry politicians, and some confused superheroes, the government decides to take the matter into their own hands, and they're going to attempt to pass a law. One that will require all superheroes to reveal their real identities. And once they do so, they will all work for S.H.I.E.L.D. as paid federal employees. They'll get paychecks, health benefits, and actual jobs. But they do need to reveal their secret identities. The superheroes are divided by the idea, with Reed Richards and Iron Man both thinking that this would be a great idea. This is a wake-up call, and all of these other superheroes are lucky that the public has put up with them hiding behind these masks for this long. But Spider-Man arrives in a new Iron Spider suit of armor that Tony Stark made for him before this story began. And he tells all of them his opinion, that this is a horrible idea. If everyone knows what his identity is, what's going to keep villains from attacking his family? Regardless of what the government decides, though, Daredevil just tells everyone, this is the end of their way of life as they know it. Meanwhile, on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, Maria Hill, the current director of S.H.I.E.L.D., is having a discussion with Captain America. She explains that this is going to happen. It's going to vote in 2 weeks, and it could be as little as a month before they actually pass it. And we're going to need to deal with this. And Captain America just looks at her. Excuse me? Are you asking me to arrest people who risk their lives every day of the week? And Maria coldly looks back at him. No, I'm asking you to obey the will of the American people, Captain. Don't you start playing politics with me. Superheroes need to be above all of that, unless you're going to start telling us the identity of the supervillains. But Maria stands her ground. She tells the guards to get ready. Are you with us or against us, Captain? So Captain America gives the men one shot. Put down your guns, men. And Maria shouts, tranquilizers, now! Captain America begins to knock the soldiers over, and he grabs one of them as a human shield against all of the tranq darts. He then runs towards the windows, knocking out everyone as he goes, and he leaps out of the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. He quickly steers himself to a nearby jet, and he rides on top of it like it's a surfboard. With Captain America publicly against the bill being passed, the protesters begin to stage outside of the White House, demanding that this bill get passed now. So Mr. Fantastic, Yellow Jacket, and Iron Man all tell the president that they will handle Captain America. Things begin to move swiftly. The law gets passed, and the superheroes such as Tony Stark back it. Identities are being revealed to the public, and the public appears to be happy that they can trust their superheroes again. Tony Stark sits up high in his tower, wondering if they've even done the right thing, while S.H.I.E.L.D. begins to pick up any superhero stragglers who refuse to sign up. But Captain America has built a rebellion, and they are using their powers to rescue anybody that S.H.I.E.L.D. picks up. He's building his own rebellious army. Two of the oldest friends in the Marvel Universe, Tony Stark the Iron Man and Steve Rogers, Captain America, are at odds, and they can't agree, and each insists that they are right. So Tony decides to up the ante, and he calls a press conference where he's invited Spider-Man. Spider-Man is very well known among the superhero community, but his identity has always been a closely guarded secret. That is until today when he unmasks himself on stage to show the world, to show the other superheroes, to show Steve Rogers that this is okay. Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and the whole world knows this now. But this does nothing to convince Captain America to stop, and he forms what he calls the Secret Avengers. And they go out to stop crimes wherever they can find them, while Iron Man insists that he'll put a stop to this eventually. So he comes up with a plan and he tricks Captain America and his team, and they put out a fake panic signal claiming to be a chemical factory that is about to burn down. But Iron Man isn't here to fight. Once Captain America shows up, he offers Captain America and his team amnesty if they just agree to come with Tony to the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. Spider-Man even jumps in stating that this is crazy. They shouldn't be fighting each other, they should be fighting against the bad guys. So Captain America agrees to give Iron Man 5 minutes. 5 minutes to explain the whole thing to him once again. And he reaches out to shake Iron Man's hand. And when Iron Man takes his hand and begins to shake it, Cap has slipped an EMP mine into it. Iron Man hits the ground, and the superhero known as Goliath grows to his largest size, and the superheroes begin to fight it out. Every superhero goes against each other. Former friends, former family, former teammates. None of that matters now. All of the other superheroes don't even matter at all. The only thing that matters is the fight between Captain America and Iron Man. Iron Man quickly throws Captain America through a wall and he punches him in the kidneys. His armor has been programmed to know every one of Captain America's moves, and he uses that to destroy the Cap. But before anybody can come to Captain America's aid, Thor arrives on the scene. But this isn't the Thor that we all know and love. That Thor died in an earlier event. This Thor is a cloned robot created by Reed Richards. And this fake Thor begins to swing his hammer and decimate Captain America's team. Everyone notices that something isn't right. This fake Thor is insanely overly brutal. But while fake Thor is beating the tar out of Cap's team, Iron Man blows up the building that he's battling Captain America in. And just before a car crushes a horribly injured Cap, Falcon swings in and grabs him, and he begins to shout for Cloak to teleport them all out of here. So Goliath decides that he'll be the one to hold off fake Thor while the rest of the team gets to Cloak to be teleported. But fake Thor shoots a lightning bolt right through Goliath, killing him instantly. Everyone stops what they're doing, and they look on in horror as their little civil war has now killed one of their own. Captain America and his team warp out using Cloak's teleport ability, and Spider-Man looks on in horror at the body of Goliath. Tony, I thought you said you had this under control. Both sides are divided by this one act. Some, like Spider-Man and Hank Pym, begin to ask themselves, is this what they signed up for? To clone a god to kill their friends? While Captain America's team begins to question their leader. Are they trying to fight for the old way of things? Maybe this is just an old man clinging on to his old way of life? Is Captain America just unable to get with the times? Heroes begin to defect from Tony's side to go to Cap's side, while some from Cap's side begin to defect to Tony's side. And some of them just say the hell with all of this, and they strike out on their own, waiting for this to resolve itself. But there are two important events that come out of Goliath's death. First, Sue Richards decides to leave Reed for making such a monster of that Thor clone. She can't be with someone who would make something that would kill their friends. And Peter Parker decides that he's going to get Tony to stop this. He can't support Tony Stark's initiative anymore if their friends are dying. So he goes to Tony's tower to try to get Tony to come to his senses, but Tony just tells him that this is for the good of everyone, and he's very disappointed in Peter for deciding to switch sides. The two of them fight it out, but eventually Peter gets out of the tower and he flees through the sewers heavily injured. He would have died there if Frank Castle the Punisher didn't rescue him and bring him to Captain America's team to get medical attention. With everyone switching sides, Tony Stark has a prison in the negative zone built to hold the superheroes who are trying to fight against this. And this is exactly what Captain America wants. All of the superheroes who are against the Superhero Registration Act in one location. So he gets his entire team into the negative zone prison. Except Tony Stark is already there with his own team. And he tells Cap that he just walked into another trap. But Cap just says, "Oh, you're double agent? We knew about her." And just then, Hank Pym removes his hood and changes back into Hulkling, one of the young Avengers who can shapeshift. Reed realizes that if Hulkling was able to mimic Hank's voice, then every cell in this negative zone prison is unlocked, and Cap now has every superhero that Tony ever captured on his side. Both teams look at each other and they realize this is going to be one hell of a fight. The teams begin to beat each other into the ground, and Maria Hill of S.H.I.E.L.D. decides to take this opportunity to just lock everybody into the negative zone. She'll lock up every superhero into this dimension, and that'll just end all of the problems. But Cloak sees this coming, and he uses everything in his ability to teleport every single person out of the negative zone and into the middle of New York City. The two teams begin to battle it out with each other, flying through buildings, tearing apart the streets, and flipping buses. The police try their best to get all of the civilians to safety while there are no superheroes here to save the day, because all of the superheroes are busy beating the tar out of each other. Spider-Man is too busy battling with Reed Richards. Sue is too busy battling against Taskmaster. Hercules is too busy destroying the Thor robot. There's just no one here to save the day this time, and countless citizens are getting injured as a consequence of this massive battle. Captain America eventually stands over a defeated Tony Stark. With Tony's armor broken and cracked, he tells Cap to finish this. Captain America realizes that after all of this, he needs to end this. He's ready to end this. And just then, the civilians jump on him, yelling, "Stop! Hold him down!" they cry. And Cap just yells out, "We're trying to help you!" While another stranger just says, "Help who? You're destroying our city!" And that's when Cap sees the damage. He sees what they've done, and how they've done nothing more than cause a worse problem than supervillains. He cries out for everyone to just stop this now! And everyone looks at him. He holds his hands out to the police and tells them, "You aren't arresting Captain America. You're arresting Steve Rogers." And he turns himself in. The Civil War ended with that. The Registration Act stayed in place for some time while Tony Stark was made the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Sue Richards returned to Reed, though there remained some animosity between them. And Spider-Man just went back to being Spider-Man, though the world knew who he was now.